Thank you, Bill. Good to see folks and so many friends. And one of the things I urge Bill to do is to include young people, because putting some of us old waxworks up here is not necessarily going to carry forward what is so necessary, which is the lessons of past tragedies and how can we prevent them in the future. This war is still going on. The Vietnam War is still going on for many. I'm retired now, so as in Vermont, what you do when you're retired, you get another job, and I'm working at the Brattleboro retreat. A co-worker of mine, a very dear friend, their partner is in the final throes of agony of disease felt to be caused by Agent Orange, as he was a service man there. And so it continues to affect physically the people in our nation, and you can imagine that's also the case within Vietnam, and emotionally as well. And the only message I have to share is one that as we as a nation go forward into further and future military adventures, is that we think very cautiously. What are we doing? What are we condemning people to in our actions? And do we know what's going on? Now, I'm glad I have this opportunity. The one resource I would really urge people to think about for your children, your grandchildren, is a book on Vietnam that came out in 1965, really written in 1964, right in the early days before the huge numbers of Americans got there. And David Halberstam, The Making of a Quagmire, 1965. Now the reason being that he points out in this book all of the pitfalls that we had continued to fall into for the 10 years following this, including what Julie and I saw there. And I urge folks to read this simply as there are those who know early on what problems are and what to look out for. David Halberstam he described himself as a hawk. He wanted the American side to win, but he realized that given our approach from top down, that we could not win. I want to celebrate the men and women volunteers like myself and of the military who have spent time in Vietnam, and also celebrate the people here who worked so hard to correct the very sad shifts in directions that we have taken in the past. And I would like to say may they not be repeated, but let's just say, may we stay vigilant. I was able to return with our family in 2000, and again with another group in 2006, which was looking at issues in Cambodia and Vietnam as to how they were caring for the addicted, for addiction, alcohol and other drugs. And so there's a commonality of our cultures today, and the people affected, of course, were all born since the war, and welcome to the 21st century. One of the folks I got to meet, we went throughout the country, but in Saigon I got to meet a former serviceman who had been in Vietnam, drafted and been there for, I think, he re-upped, so he's there for 2 or 3 years. He had come back in order to work in Can Tho in a school situation to, as he said, and I don't know his story, but he simply said, in some way to make up for his role in unhappy times there when he was a young man. And I simply mention that because I was impressed that people will take different steps in which to try to help, to try to mend situations which have been really very much torn apart. And I was very honored to meet him and to realize that there were a number of other people, such as himself, often silent. They wouldn't necessarily talk to other people, but they were there working in different service or teaching situations to try to complete their experience.